Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
So we just got through the fact that makes your brain go. It was things that you put off doing that drastically changed Chicagoans' life. And the number one on there was those nasal rinse things like Navage. Boy, do we get a lot of people checking in on that. And that's the thing that you put this device to your nose. It kind of washes through one nostril, then out the other, and completely cleans your nose out. First story texted through. Man dies of brain-eating amoeba, possibly from rinsing his sinuses with tap water.
Ouch.
We can't have anything. It's so annoying. I just feel like every time we find something good, they're like, well, guess what can happen to you if you do it?
Now, a lot of people said that you got to use distilled water if you do that. Also, though, that makes me think that I'm drinking amoebas. Do amoebas taste good? Does the water taste good because of amoebas?
I assume. Go ahead, Kenzie.
Tap water? Sorry. Do you drink tap water?
Yeah, I drink tap water. I Brita it. Does a Brita get rid of an amoeba?
So you have a Brita filter. Okay, yeah, you filter. So you're not drinking tap water. You don't, like, turn on your faucet with a cup and then drink that.
I will if the Brita isn't filled up because it's so damn hard to keep those things filled up. So I didn't fill it. I'm going to the hose out in the backyard. So I'll do that. But when I've changed the filter, I don't see a bunch of dead amoeba sitting there in the filter. I know
they're not like huge frogs. I feel like you're imagining really big, like.
Can you imagine that as a frog?
A frog in your filter?
Brita?
Thank God.
Is that a frog in your Brita or you just happen to see me?
Oh.
Like, I would have never caught this on my own.
So I guess be careful if you're using that Navage stuff to use distilled water or a brain-eating amoeba might go into your head.
Can you imagine how terrifying it is to be hearing this, knowing you used tap water in your Navage last night?
Well, can you imagine the amoeba just tapped into your head? Hello, my darling. Hello, my darling. I imagine.
Somebody's doing it right now, and they just sneezed out all the amoeba and the tap water right now. Distilled water? No one told me that. Good Lord. Well, how Brian and Kenzie, this show, got hashtag Finish the Hole trending worldwide yesterday, a top 5 trend yesterday. This is also, it's not a great story, to be honest. It's $400 million in Chicagoan taxpayer money, used right in the Block 37 zone, which where Kenzie used to live, by the way, because there's apartments above it and shopping below it.
Yep.
Below that, there's a football field-size hole that was supposed to be super trains, taking you tubes. There's all these tubes to take you to the airports.
I love these tubes. Finish the tubes.
Finish
Let's
the tubes.
go.
Yep. And this is the story from NBC Chicago that we played yesterday, a piece of audio to explain what's going on.
Far below the atrium offices in shopping mall, below the pedway underneath, beneath even the subways below.
A sleek new superstation designed to whisk people on high-speed trains to Chicago's airports. But this is what it looks like today. A gigantic, unfinished, abandoned money pit.
That's tough.
Couple more adjectives. An abandoned, unused, unfinished money pit.
I can't believe there are some people out there that don't like journalists because when they get in their bag and they produce a story like this, the verbiage they use is still top-notch.
Do you think the government's ever just like, lay off, man? Stories about us every night. We're exhausted.
Yes, I think so.
I'm sure Ben Bradley, our friend at WGN, not NBC, but gets some little anonymous phone calls.
To see Ben Bradley with a pen. That's like the worst nightmare. Relax, Ben.
I'm sure when he was investigating Tiffany Henyard, he said to his wife, if I ever don't come home one night, you know what happened. The henchman. All right, this story continues about the hole in the ground underneath Chicago.
Feel like you're in a cave that has been abandoned for eons.
David Greising is president of the Better Government Association. As a journalist, he toured the structure, dubbed through the years as the Bat Cave, the Money Pit, or as NBC5 Investigates has described it, the superstation to nowhere.
The superstation to nowhere, playing Riot Fest on the Metro stage. Make sure you get there early for that. The superstation to nowhere. It sounds so defeated.
Sounds like my ex.
The idea was sparked 20 years ago when the city approved construction of this building on a prime loop lot which had remained vacant for decades.
We, as journalists, get summoned to a press conference in the mega station that is in mothballs,
where they found two familiar faces.
We're super excited to do what I think is going to be a groundbreaking technology.
Then Mayor Rahm Emanuel was determined to revive this literal hole in the ground, and Elon Musk responded.
So when we say that, we're talking about 8 years ago at that point. This thing started 20 years ago to build these tubes to take you 150 miles an hour from downtown. You get to O'Hare in 12 minutes. And Midway had to be quicker because that's a little shorter distance. But around that time.
That's insane. It's amazing.
This sounds incredible. And all they have is the hole in the ground and not the 17 miles to O'Hare of tubes. They didn't get farther than the hole. Anybody can dig a hole. I go dig that hole.
Finish the tubes. It's the one thing that I'm finding, like, this is really cool. The government's building it. For the love of God, let us have it.
If the hole costs $400 million, the tubes must be $8 trillion to finish.
Naturally. They already have half of our paycheck. Who cares? Build us something we like.
So all that stuff they take out of your check, you see all that stuff, Social Security.
Yeah.
Is there a tube tax going to be? It just says tube. Tube. $4,000.
Musk had created the Boring Company, which uses this machine to drill underground to construct mega infrastructure projects in a matter of weeks instead of years.
But it's been 20 years.
That's the rub, you see.
See, this thing is supposed to do that.
It's tough.
I don't know.
The potential here for a revolutionary transport system.
It certainly looked revolutionary. From the renovated superstation, people board glass pods that are lowered onto sleds that slide through the underground tubes.
Oh, I bet the renderings were incredible on that.
Imagine that.
People getting on a tube and being whisked away. They're probably wearing suits and carrying briefcases and smoking pipes through this whole thing. I got to look at the rendering of this tube. I got to find it.
At 150 miles per hour, reaching the airport in just about 12 minutes.
Getting from the city to O'Hare is a race against time, and we're going to give commuters a leg up in that race.
Musk promised he'd build it all in 3 to 4 years. He also vowed he wouldn't.
3 to 4 years. It's been 20. 3 to 4 years.
But he came in 2018.
So he came in late with Rahm Emanuel. Yeah, the hole was already dug, I guess, whatever.
I think we should have to normalize that if you make a promise like that at like a public, what is this called? Like a press conference?
Yeah.
You have to follow through. It's illegal to not follow through. You can't announce it and make it news and then not do it. Why do words not matter? It's starting to piss me off. That's illegal.
It's a deep thought.
He should be sued.
Yep. Words not matter also at Riot Fest, by the way. They're performing there as
One of my favorites.
Yep.
3 to 4 years. He also
3 to 4 years it was supposed to be done.
Vowed he wouldn't spend a single cent of public money.
And then he's vowed not a single cent of public money. $400 million in tax money has gone to this, and it's just a hole in the ground, the size of Soldier Field.
As it turned out, Mayor Emanuel's successors had no interest in the project, and Musk himself quickly moved on to other things, like buying Twitter and advising President Trump. While here in Chicago, the padlocks and mothballs are back in place, with no future in sight.
Moved on to other things like buying Twitter. You're supposed to finish the tubes.
I want the tubes.
God, they'd be amazing. Well, if there's anybody out there that has $1 trillion to finish the tubes, please. Hashtag finish the hole. Get on it. We're going to get to sports. What an epic sports night last night. We're going to also pick our horses for the Kentucky Derby. It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
Now, it's your chance to qualify to win a trip for two to Boston to see the Boston Calling Music Festival. Message and data rates apply. Please don't text and drive.
The best fest is Fest Fest. Q101.
Well, all you got to do is text the word cage, C-A-G-E, as in cage, the elephant, to 312-591-8300 for your chance to qualify for a trip for two to Boston Calling Music Festival. Yes, Cage will be there. Also, Fall Out Boy, All Time Low, The Maine, Sublime, Vampire Weekend. You get a full trip. This is incredible. Cage to 312-591-8300, all qualifiers. Also, get 2 one-day tickets to Riot Fest. You've got Blink on Friday. You've got Weezer and Jack White on Saturday. You've got Green Day on Sunday, among others. So winners get to pick their day, by the way, while that lasts. So Cage, C-A-G-E, to 312-591-8300. You got about an hour to do it. So if you're in the middle of something right now, just hang tight. You do it once every day, and you've got time till 9 o'clock to get there. Now, 8 o'clock Friday, Cinco de Mayo coming up. La Bamba, the review from Case to Producer. Let's get into Case's movie reviews.
For Christ's sake, tomorrow's the 4th of July, and we will be open for business.
What country you from? What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
Utah. Give me 2.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.
Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand.
Now fry like bacon, you little
little freshman piggies. Fry! Fry!
Playing football in West Canaan may have been the opportunity of your lifetime, but I don't want your life.
Well, before we even get to the review here, we had the Mexican contingent pick this movie, La Bamba, for case to make sure it was okay and appropriate. Many, though, preferred Blood In, Blood Out.
Mm-hmm.
Kenzie preferred Selena. We went through all these, but Juan just checked in from Addison and said, after letting it sit for a while, I approve of Case reviewing La Bamba for Cinco de Mayo. So, Juan, thanks for checking in from Addison as we get right into it. La Bamba, by the way, released July 24th, 1987. I didn't realize it was that old. $6.5 million budget. Box office was $54 million, a pretty good take. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 83% of 80 critics' reviews are positive with an average of 6.9 out of 10. Ranked 2 in the top 15 best movies that capture the Mexican-American experience by Ranker.com.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what number 1 was on that?
Stand and Deliver.
Oh, a lot of people said that too. A lot of the Mexican contingent wanted that one as well. But La Bamba number 2, so a pretty good choice. And by the way, just to get out ahead of it, next week he's doing 16 Candles for the 42nd anniversary of that movie.
That's right. We're going to do that this week, but Cinco de Mayo popped up. The people spoke, and we are talking about La Bamba.
Said the whitest man ever. The way he said
This is what we're talking about.
We are talking.
He goes, that's a rough translation into the Bamba, obviously.
So,
if you may not know.
Obviously, a movie based on a true situation, a very tragic situation. But, Case, I'll let you take it away with what did you think of La Bamba?
Well, I want to start by hearing the trailer. An iconic, a great trailer. Come on now, La Bamba, let's show it some love. Let's hear some audio.
Thank you very much. Here is what it sounded like in 1987, the commercial for La Bamba.
Hey! It's got heart. All our dreams are gonna come true. It's got soul. It's got good times. Richie's got a song headed for the top of the charts with a bullet. And most of all, hello, baby! Rock and roll. It's La Bamba, an American success story, rated PG-13.
Wow, no tragedy in the trailer at all.
It's a very happy trailer.
Because, I mean, it's a really tragic ending. I'm not trying to be a spoiler here.
No spoilers, come on now.
But, I mean, it is based on a true story, an incredible story that fascinates me every time I read up about it or see a documentary about Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, and the Big Bopper. Hello, baby. But, Case, now let's get to it. Your take on La Bamba, nearly 40 years after it came out.
I have to give a shout out to the Mexican people out there because La Bamba
also sounded white as hell.
La Bamba, otherwise known as The Bamba, is such a great movie. Oh my God, I didn't know what I was getting into here. I knew it was based on a true story.
Yes.
But even I, somebody who considers themselves to be a little bit of a music historian, unfamiliar with the tale that was weaved in this story.
Fraud.
Fake fan. A tale that follows the man named Richie Valens. A story about family drama, relationship issues, and just how badass Spanish music is. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie from start to finish. It's really, God, did I have fun watching this.
I'm glad. I thought maybe, I don't know what you were going to do on this one, so I'm really glad you're starting off with a positive note.
With a shout out to the Mexican people?
Yes, with the Mexican contingent of Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
That's right. No, fantastic movie. I love how it feels like the entire family, obviously Richie, but then his brother and his mom are represented throughout this entire movie. We get just enough glimpses into their lives to where I feel like it tells a full, proper story. You have Richie, the musician. His mother is just in hysterics in every scene. She's so wound up. She's so emotional, but she's so proud of her son. And then you have his brother, Bob, who is the coolest guy that I have ever seen before. This guy smokes. This guy drinks. This guy draws cartoons. This guy rides motorcycles and then convinces his motorcycle gang to hang up flyers for his brother's concert. This is without a doubt, one of the coolest people that I have ever seen on a screen, and he made me want to reevaluate my life. Maybe I should be drinking, smoking, drawing cartoons, and riding around on a motorcycle somewhere.
I'm not sure you could pull it off.
I think it'll look different. What are you doing?
Has some bad traits, too. Asai Morales played that character so well. And now I've told Case that when you see that actor, Asai Morales, in other movies, all you can see him as, even though he's a tremendous actor, as Bob from La Bamba.
It permanently ingrained into my brain as Bob going forward. What an iconic role. Now, of course, some of you might be listening to this and going, doesn't he, like, get really handsy with his girlfriend at one point? And
Hold on. Handsy is a nice way to say it.
It's a nice way of saying it. And I want to say, I do not approve. I did not like that. However, not fair. However, once his girlfriend does get pregnant, it does lead to one of the most incredible cool guy lines that I have ever heard. This is Bob finding out that his girlfriend is pregnant. I was blown away when I heard this.
This is a line that I've repeated many times for fun, and this is that audio.
This is not like I expected. You are not like I expected. I don't have a life here. You're always gone. Do you think I like being here alone?
Look, Rosie, you're not my wife, all right? Stop being such a drag. Hey.
I'm pregnant.
Here we go.
Well, aren't you going to say anything?
Well, what's there to say? It's not my first or my last.
There's a lot to unpack there. He's telling us.
Not good.
He's telling us, because you're not my wife, stop being a drag.
Which is hilarious. I'm sorry.
And then when he finds out he's having a kid, what do you want me to say? Not my first, won't be my last. I love that your first take on La Bamba is more on not the La Bamba story of Richie Valens, but on his derelict brother.
His brother is a badass. That's awesome.
Oh.
One of the things that I feel like we've come across in a lot of the movies that I've talked about this year is there's this story that I'm into that's presented in the movie, and then there's this weird sidetrack romantic angle that I often think takes away from the movie, like Major League being the best example of that. There's just enough romance in La Bamba. I really, really enjoy Richie and Donna together. From a film point of view, not from a racist point of view, but Donna's racist father constantly trying to steer her away from Richie, I found all of that to be very entertaining. Of course, there's the line when Richie asks her to go see him play in concert, and this is what happens when Richie is introduced to Donna's family.
Listen, Donna, I'm playing at a garage party tonight. Would you like to come?
Garage party?
Yeah, it's my big debut. I mean, it'll be a real gas, kitten. Please, come.
Okay. But I'll have to meet you there, okay?
Okay, no problem. I wrote down the address for you. In case. Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hi, Daddy.
Hey. Who's the big kid?
Just a friend.
What is he, Italian?
Now, to set that stage, if you don't know what we're talking about here, because obviously Lou Diamond Phillips, he's actually Filipino.
He's Filipino.
Playing a Mexican kid. And this, the lily white blonde girl and her dad comes home.
White picket fence.
And this is in the 50s. And he goes, sees the kid with darker skin and goes, what is he, Italian?
Even the way he says Italian, I find offensive. Even that sucks.
And spoiler alert, he's not.
Nope, he is Mexican in the movie, obviously.
Yes. Oh, my
And the dad
goodness.
not approving of that.
What's funny is you could tell Italian would already be pushing it for him. All right.
And he says,
Little not what I was looking for, but okay.
Italian? Is he Italian? It's so good. Oh.
It's so good. This movie is so good. I have to quickly mention that Joey Pantalona, who is Ralph in The Sopranos, plays Richie's manager in this movie.
Yeah, legendary character Bob Keane, who was responsible for a lot of artists like Richie Valens starting rock and roll. I mean, he's a legendary character in the real life world.
Yeah. I didn't know Ralph from The Sopranos had done anything else, so that blew my mind when he showed up on camera. And the problem is that in the same way that I'll never be able to see the actor who played Bob as anybody else but Bob again, Ralph on The Sopranos is the most evil man that's ever existed. And I almost wanted him to like be more evil in this movie. Instead,
No.
he's a white guy who happens to walk into a Mexican barn dance concert and goes, "I'm gonna sign that kid." And then Richie comes to the recording studio and he's like, "What about my band?" And Ralph,
He's like, are they Italian?
A bunch of Italians over here.
Ralph is like, "Hey kid, not everybody gets this chance. You either have to you think about your friends or your music." And boy, does Richie hop into that recording studio quickly after that.
I think a lot of our musician listeners could relate to that. That first off, you're going to defend your bandmates, and then if they say, "Well, listen, not everybody's meant for this. You're the star." All right, well, I forgot who my friends are.
Yeah.
I'm going to get signed the contract.
So I've got
here.
these songs, you see.
There's so much more to unpack here. We're up against it. Can we come back and finish up with your rating of La Bamba?
Of course, I've always got more to say with La Bamba.
Because there's a lot more to talk about in the real life of this situation and how crazy this movie, which inspired the song American Pie, by the way, the Bye Bye Miss American Pie. That's the whole story is about these guys and the tragic end here that you're not even getting to yet.
No, I really haven't talked about the music at all. I've just been talking about his cool-ass brother.
So we'll come back and finish it up with the rating Case gives to La Bamba as his movie review for this week in just about 6 minutes.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q 101.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q 101.
All right, we're in the middle of Case's movie review of La Bamba, and we got requests to play the Bob line one more time when he finds out. By the way, he didn't even mention that he stole Richie's girlfriend. She was Richie's girlfriend, and Bob comes in the picture with his biker ways and wins her over, and then he gets her pregnant, and she's not very happy after that.
And they sleep together like 10 feet away from the family who's having a campfire.
Yeah,
it's crazy how close they are. And then she's like, he's like, you didn't tell me it was your first time. And she's like, you didn't ask. It's awesome.
Yeah.
La Bamba.
I'm pregnant. Well, aren't you going to say anything?
Well, what's there to say? It's not my first or my last.
Oh,
That
God.
always confused me. Did he mean kid? Like he's going to have a bunch of kids? That's what he meant,
Yes,
right?
yeah, he's got a bunch of kids already out there, not
Yeah.
his first, you see. And then he's
Because
going
when
to...
I first heard the line, I thought he meant like girls he just knocked up and maybe didn't have kids with. Like,
No, he's got a
I
bunch of
didn't
kids.
know if he meant shmushmorshin or children. Every time I watch it.
Well, we can go down a deep dive of Bob's life. By the way, the real person that was Bob, his brother, lived to 85 years old, and poor Richie Valens died at 17 in a plane crash. Sorry for the spoiler, but it's a true story.
Damn it, Brian.
It's a 70-year-old story. I think you probably should know by now.
In a
what it-
40-year-old movie.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry for the spoiler, but that guy certainly didn't affect his ways. Didn't affect anybody going out early on him.
Did he become like an award-winning cartoonist, or was he just drawing Woody Woodpecker for fun?
We'll have to do a deep dive on that because I can't remember what happened.
I love that angle because there's this whole thing in La Bamba where the brother, you know, is a derelict and a burnout and a motorcycle gangster and all these sorts of things, but he's a world-class cartoonist, it turns out. And I keep on thinking it's going to lead to him maybe designing an album cover for his brother or something. Now there's just some scenes of him drawing Looney Tunes.
Yeah, no, and you know, you haven't talked much about Richie Valens yet because Bob and Asai Morales did such an incredible job, which, by the way, if you want to see a prequel to Bob, there's a movie called Bad Boys, not the Will Smith Bad Boys, with, I think it was Sean Penn and Asai Morales' first movie. It's a real gritty, you know, high school gang movie where they go to juvie, and it's rough, and you could almost picture Asai Morales as Bob in that. But let's not get sidetracked. Richie Valens.
Hell of a
and
guy.
La Bamba.
Yeah. No, pretty good. Pretty good. So, you know, I like that all of the stuff with him musically feels like it takes place super quick because it does. You know, he had 6 months worth of music before he ends up passing away in this tragic plane crash. And watching the movie yesterday, when I was watching in real time, I was going, man, I don't feel like they built up to this plane crash in a real way. Like it kind of came out of nowhere and it was weird. And then I was like, oh wait, that's right. Based on a true story, the plane crash did come out of nowhere and it was weird and tragic that he passed away. And all, you know, it just goes from one scene of him, you know, playing a sock hop with Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper and calling his manager being like, hey man, like this bus sucks. And the manager's saying, come home. And he's going, no, I'm going to tough it out. All of a sudden he gets on Buddy Holly's plane and that's the last time we ever see him.
Kenzie, do you know that whole story of what happened, but how these guys got on the plane and what happened exactly?
What do you mean how they got on the plane? Like they walked?
No, it's a very, very iconic and tragic situation where, I'll do it very quickly. So Richie Valens was afraid to fly because apparently when he was a kid, a classmate died in the playground when 2 planes hit over the playground and some of the plane came down and killed his friend. Imagine the odds.
I knew he was scared of planes. I didn't know it was that story. I knew he was scared because he used to have nightmares about planes.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so they're getting ready to fly. Like Case was saying, the bus was too cold. It didn't work. And so Buddy Holly booked this plane. And then Richie Valens didn't want to fly, but he was all sick. And Buddy Holly even said, hey, man, I know you're not cool with flying, but you got to get on this plane. Why don't we flip a coin to see who goes? And so they flip a coin between 2 people. And then Richie Valens wins the coin toss. And so he gets on the plane, and then he dies.
That's so sad.
So if he lost the coin toss, he would have lived.
It's crazy. That whole tour, I was reading about it yesterday, and, normally, the way that we're able to predict Lollapalooza on Riot Fest now is a band maybe that weekend will have a show in Detroit or a show in Indianapolis or maybe even a show in Cincinnati. And you go, oh, well, naturally, they're just going to go to Chicago next. But that tour, the one with Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper and Richie Valens, it would be like they'd go from Atlanta to Detroit in one day. Then they'd go to Tallahassee and then back to Chicago.
Well, you would think that they didn't have maps yet, the way they went on tour. It was unbelievable.
It was the 50s. They probably didn't have maps.
That's true.
Yeah,
they used the stars.
Well, they were probably all
to guide the
wrong.
bus.
All the maps were probably wrong until 20 years ago.
Yeah. Kenzie, there's another part of this story because you might I know you like some country music, the old country Waylon Jennings.
That's right.
He was the bass player for Buddy Holly on this tour. And Buddy Holly booked the plane, and Waylon Jennings didn't get to go on the plane in the situation. They only had 3 seats. It was a small little plane. And Buddy Holly said to Waylon Jennings, man, I hope you freeze your ass off on that bus. And Waylon Jennings said, oh, yeah? Well, I hope your plane crashes.
That's tough.
Tough to get over that. And the plane crashed. And Waylon Jennings even said it.
Was there, by chance, is there a shooting star in the background when he said it?
Oh.
Because that's a bummer.
Yeah,
Was it his birthday?
Waylon Jennings, became an alcoholic, drug addict. He said a lot of it was because of what he said when he was 17 years old to Buddy Holly in that situation. I can go on for too long on this one because I love the documentary.
This really does fascinate you.
It really does, this whole thing. But, Case, let's get to your review, or your rating, I should say, of La Bamba. What's it going to be in planes?
No, that's mean. It's not going to be in planes. I had people asking if I could do it in microwaved quesadillas or if I could do it in jarritos. I'm going to do it in flying guitars. I think we have to. Richie Valens in the flying guitars. That was his band.
That's right.
And this is, again, just a big shout out to everybody that had me watch this movie. 8 flying guitars out of 10.
Wow.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. God bless. Viva la Raza. I am a big fan of La Bamba.
Kenzie, what are these?
I love Bamba.
It's Brian and Kenzie, Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Cage the Elephant playing the Boston Calling Music Festival. So make sure you are texting CAGE, C-A-G-E, to 312-591-8300. You got about a half hour left. At 9 o'clock, it goes away. The Boston Calling Music Festival. You got Cage the Elephant, Fall Out Boy, Sublime, and more. Plus, just for qualifying, 2 one-day tickets to Riot Fest. So you get to pick Friday, Blink-182, Saturday, Weezer, Jack White, Sunday, Green Day, among other 88 other bands playing all those days. So you got about a half hour left. Text CAGE right now to 312-591-8300. It's not related to La Bamba. That is the bugle for the horses. This weekend, you've got the Kentucky Derby. It's already here. Coming up, the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby will be on NBC and streamed live on Peacock. That will be Saturday afternoon. It's always weird with the Kentucky Derby because there's so much of a preamble to it and other races, and you want to say, the Super Bowl starts at this time or whatever. You just got to kind of get in there, and somewhere between 5 and 6:30, the race will always happen. And they suck you into just all the pageantry and the drunkenness in the infield. But
the big hats.
The hats, the dresses. I've never been to one. I believe it or not, I was the voice of the Kentucky Derby for a while.
I don't know this story. I would like to hear it.
Well, I was the voice of the Kentucky Derby for a while, where I used to read all of their announcements. Apparently, when there's not horses racing there, they have concerts.
Oh, really?
A lot of fun cover bands, and it's a good time out there at the track, but at Churchill Downs. But and they have this big race once a year called the Kentucky Derby. And here we go.
So what did you voice?
So all of the stuff for them that wasn't involved with the Kentucky Derby. So
nothing to do with it. So you voiced, but what were, Like at the concert? Do they have a voice playing?
Well, yes, they did.
He was talking over the concert.
I was the concert.
I heard this song. Oh my God, he's everywhere.
Yeah. Somebody paid me for that. They paid me to go, here's Nirvana-ish, a Nirvana tribute band at Churchill Downs, which was stuff like that. And
Did you have to be like, make sure you check the emergency exits? Were you doing stuff like that?
No, I didn't care about emergency exits.
Come on now.
Yeah,
I just can't imagine what voice needed to play at a concert.
Well, I did their commercials that would run on radio and TV in that area down in Kentucky. And then also, I did have my voice saying, I'll try to do an imitation of an old thing I did, like, come on down to Churchill Downs for Nirvana-ish, a Nirvana tribute band. Plus, we got margaritas for $7. Stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the voice I used.
Did they make you do like a southern drawl?
They said that.
Boy, were you like racist at the end of it?
I said, hey, boy, come on over here for the horse races, you see.
I thought it was going to be way different.
Yep, nope. They always say that in these things, and they want you to do something. It'd be great if you were from Kentucky. And they chose me anyway, not being from Kentucky. So Kentucky Derby, we have all the horses. We're going to do what we did last year, is each of us take a horse. And I think my horse last year came in second, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's true.
So we have the whole list of horses. There's a lot of funny names on here. And Kenzie, have you already picked your horse you think will win?
I picked my horse.
Now, should I say who they're saying the experts, I did a little deep dive, say are going to win?
Please.
So there's a horse called Journalism. That is a pick to win.
Fake news.
So, yeah. To place, a horse called Sovereignty. And then to show is Sandman. Sandman. So those are the top three horses, at least by the experts saying what's going to happen. So, Kenzie, do you like those horses, or are you going to pick someone else?
I'm picking someone else.
Okay.
I'm picking Chunk of Gold. Tell me that horse isn't going to win.
What's your analysis on Chunk of Gold?
I mean, hello, it's a chunk of gold. Gold is first place. It's like foreshadowing. It's going to wear a chunk of gold.
Got it.
Any other questions?
Sounds logical. Don't know if they're a mutter or not. You don't know that for sure?
A what?
A mutter?
I don't know what that means.
That's a horse that runs good in the mud.
Mutter?
In case there's rain.
Oh, maybe you did do the commercials.
Listen. I can look up and see. Why don't you look up and see if Chunk of Gold, what they talk about Chunk of Gold as far as a horse, Kenzie. If there's a review of if he or she is a mutter.
Chunk of Gold. Do I just look up Chunk of Gold horse review?
I would try that.
Is there a Yelp review for your horse?
While you do that, let's move on to Case's horse.
He's got a real attitude problem.
2 stars.
We'll come back to you, Kenzie, in a second. But Case, what's your horse?
I am not going with Journalism, who is the favorite. I am going with their counterpart, Publisher, who has 20-1 odds. A man of great literary respect, a fan of journalism, and of course a fan of publishing. So I will be going with Publisher. His pedigree suggests strong classic potential, combining American Pharaoh's proven stamina with proud citizens' influence through his damn side.
Boy, that sounds real Southern.
Yeah, there's just a tone to horse racing I'm not totally comfortable with.
It's close to slavery, kind of, that tone.
It's not good.
Very
I'm
close.
getting more uncomfortable as the bit goes on.
Well, Kenzie, how about reading what your horse description is?
It's not a good first sentence. Bought at auction for the relatively...
Oh, God.
I'm uncomfortable with the whole thing, but a lot of people go, so I don't know. Bought at auction with the relatively paltry sum of $2,500 2 years ago. Chunk of Gold already has shattered expectations in his short career. On Saturday, this horse from humble beginnings will attempt to cap off the ultimate underdog story when he leaves the starting gate.
Bought for a paltry amount is so demeaning.
That's not good.
At an auction.
I think Kenzie's horse is racist.
I don't even know what this means, if you can help me. Career record is 4 starts, 1 win, 3 seconds. What does that mean?
I didn't get that far in the commercials they had me read.
Okay.
I mean, 4 starts, 1 win, meaning we're running 4 races, and it's 1-1 and won by 3 seconds, I'm imagining.
No. It was 3 second places. Not 3 seconds.
She said 3 seconds. I took it a second.
I understand.
Okay.
So, Kenzie, that's actually good. Your horse has been in 4 professional races. It won 1 of them and has finished second place 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay, and the odds are 30-1, so it's not a high-ranking horse.
No, it's not.
No.
Very
According to
long
Brian, because I
odds.
had to ask what higher or lower numbers meant, and he said lower is bad.
So, because of the track record, you should put some money on that.
Well, let me tell you something, okay? This horse was bought for a paltry sum of $2,500.
No, keep reading it like that.
Bought for a paltry sum of $2,500. His career earnings to the day are $348,818.
Well, you could have run a plantation with that accent.
As a person, not really.
No.
Maybe as an accent, though.
As an actress, not your beliefs.
Paltry sum.
Remember, actresses are acting. Remember that.
Thanks for
I
clarifying.
could have acted in a movie and done a good job.
Okay, so I'm going to take Tiztastic. Like that name. Sounds like something I would have had a nickname as Tiztastic.
I wasn't sure we were allowed to say it, so I didn't want to pick it.
Is that
I
bad?
actually thought it was something else.
Yes, no, it's just very close to another word.
I thought it was, I can't say the word on the radio, which is stupid. I found that out the hard way.
That's right.
But let's say I thought it was basically boobs-tastic.
Oh, Tiztastic.
See what I'm saying? But when I read it, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's kind of sexualizing a horse. That's weird.
Tiztastic is a dark bay brown colt by Tiz the Law out of Kesha. I don't know.
Kesha owns the horse?
I think.
It's Kesha's horse?
It says by Kesha, and it's spelled like her, too.
It should be called TikTok, not Tiztastic.
This Tiztastic brings an impressive blend of speed and stamina to the Kentucky Derby aspirations. His recent victory at the Louisville Derby, a 1 3/16 mile, demonstrated his ability to handle extended distances, 1 by 2 1/4 lengths, with a strong closing kick after rating inside and making a 4 wide move in the stretch. That's all I'm going to say.
I feel really good about my horse. I feel like my explanation was the best.
Well, yours was definitely plantation type horse.
Okay, I don't love that.
You chose the horse. So Case chose publisher.
That's right.
Kenzie chose Chunk of Gold, and I choose Tiztastic, which is 20-1 odds, by the way, to win the Kentucky Derby tomorrow. Bet accordingly. DraftKings does have horse betting and DK Horse, by the way. You can have at it.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.